What's up, guys, and welcome back. So finally, we've been talking about doing our how to beat series a whole bunch as of late, and well, we're finally here, we're finally ready, we're going to do it. How to beat Drytrons, here we are today. We will also have how to beat Virtual World coming at you in a couple days here, followed by how to beat Zodiac Eldlich and how to beat invoked Dogmatika. If you have any suggestions for other decks you want to know how to beat, let us know in the description or in the comment section down below, or come to the Facebook group and talk about it there, whether we make a video on it or we just happen to chit chat in the comment section and talk about ideas, side deck choices, things like that. If you are new here and you don't know how we do these types of videos, we like to talk about a little bit what the deck does, what makes it good. Then we cover like hand traps, what to hit with your hand traps and which hand traps are best. And then we'll cover some side deck options, and that's pretty much what we do for these types of videos. They usually go over really well, and if we happen to miss anything, let us know in the comment section down below, or if you think there's better ways to handle things, again, let us know in the comment section down below, because obviously we're going to miss things. We did one last format and it's like, oh, we forgot D barrier, and it was like I think it was actually Virtual World, and it's like, yeah, just call synchro, and that really hurts them. So things like that. But yeah, we don't hit everything, so let us know in the description down below. What does Drytron do? I heard they can make VFD, but I've honestly never seen that variant yet. It's pretty much all like the Herald variant. I know Megalith has a variant as well. We're kind of going to stick with the Herald one here, where they make like Vanity's Ruler and then the Herald of Ultimateness, and we'll kind of talk about both those cards in a second. So just quickly going over the Drytron cards, the main one being Alpha Thuban. If I butcher some of these names, I'm sorry. So all of these cards have the similar effect where you contribute one other Drytron monster or ritual monster from your hand or field, special summon this card from your hand or graveyard in defense position, and then they all have different effects. Alpha being the best one because you can add a ritual monster from your deck to your hand. Gamma allows you to special summon one Drytron monster from your graveyard. Then you have Beta, who can return one of your banished Drytron monsters to the graveyard, which, I mean, helps their grind game a little bit. Delta, you can reveal one ritual monster or spell in your hand, and if you do, draw a card. Finally, Zeta, you can add a ritual spell to your hand, which, in my opinion, Alpha's probably the best, and then Zeta, because this deck really likes to abuse Cyber Angel Benton. It's not a hard once per turn, which makes this crazy, and you can kind of just loop it. You contribute it and search itself and another one. But yeah, it's ridiculous what you can do with this card. So Cyber Angel Benton, you don't actually summon it in this deck. If it's tributed, you can add one light fairy monster from your deck to your hand. Like we said, you can add another Benton to your hand, and then there's like ways where the deck just draws into I can't remember the name of the card and I don't have it here, but if it's like tributed or sent to the graveyard, I believe is the wording, sent to the graveyard, add like 2 fairies to your hand. It might even be light fairies, I'm not exactly sure, but that card is just busted because they usually do it on your turn and they tribute it with the ultimateness to send it, and then they'll add like a Herald of the Orange Light for a quick effect monster negate, or if they're possibly playing green light or purple for spell and trap negates as well. Like, the deck just has so many crazy pluses because of cards like Benton that are not once per turn and really have no restrictions whatsoever. There is so many abusable ritual cards. You have preparation, pre-preparation, the incantations. I really haven't seen played too much in it, but I'm sure it might not be the most optimal way, but I'm sure there's some way to use them as well. Finishing off some of the Drytron cards, Drytron Nova, you can special summon a Drytron monster from your deck, so they have a 3-of card where they can just summon one out of the deck too, as if everything else isn't already enough. And like we said, they can summon themselves from the graveyard, so really just they do so much. Medianus Drytron is their ritual spell. Most play 1, handful play 2. I actually, because I guess we can cover it right now. A lot of my decks, I do main deck Cosmic Cyclone right now, which I do side out versus this deck. But game 1, let's say you have Cosmic Cyclone, it's not a bad call to Cosmic, the Medianus Drytron, because they can actually, if this card's in your graveyard, you can target one Drytron monster you control. It loses 1,000 attack. Oh, boo-hoo, it doesn't matter. But then you add this card back to your hand, so they can keep looping it back to their hand and using it for their ritual summons. And this card is absolutely busted, because you just tribute machine monsters, being your Drytrons, from your hand or field, whose attack equal or exceed the attack of the ritual monster you summon. So you're using the attack, not the levels. Guess what? All these cards have 2,000 attack. Guess what? Herald of the Ultimateness, 2,000 attack. So, you know, it's just really kind of a way to cheat out a really strong ritual card. And if you can get rid of it early, it definitely helps. Vanity's Ruler. The deck doesn't normal summon a whole lot. It can even use Cyber Emergency to search out the Drytron monsters, which is kind of crazy. Basically just 3 extra Rotas in the deck for it. And they do have the one stipulation that you cannot, well, they can't be normal summon set, but they have to be special summoned by their way. They do lock you. You cannot special summon a monster that can be normal summoned, but you can, you know, get out a few of these guys and then tribute summon into your Vanity's Ruler, which is really strong. And then, like we said, Herald of the Ultimateness. Vanity's Ruler and the Ultimateness is pretty typical end board, what I've seen, and it's not a bad end board when they have a handful, well, like 4 cards in hand, the one being that fetches 2 more cards to their hand. Like, it's kind of a good deck, if you know what I'm saying. And the deck is all extenders, so it can really push through a lot of different hand traps. But Herald of the Ultimateness, for those who need a bit of a refresher, when your opponent would special summon a monster, yeah, it can negate summons too, or negates a spell trap card or a monster effect. So if your opponent activates a card effect essentially, or tries to special summon a monster, you can send a fairy monster from your hand to the graveyard, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So pretty good boss monster. Not once per turn, not once per chain. They can just keep sending, they can keep doing it, and it can be a absolute pain to deal with. And it's like, oh, just kaiju it, but there's a Vanity's Ruler on field. You can't. So that's essentially what the deck does. What can you do with your hand traps then? We're going to cover the same hand traps in all these videos, because they're hand traps I think most people either main or consider maining, and then we'll kind of talk about side deck options. So Psyframe Lord Gamma, or Psyframe Gear Gamma. What would I hit with Gamma? Personally, I would probably go for the Alpha if possible, because like I said, it's probably the best Drytron monster. Otherwise, I mean, you have the Zeta too, but you might as well just save it for the Benton at that point if you can. I mean, if you can, they're going to hit Benton in their turn, just to try to prevent that Vanity's Ruler from hitting the field. This is a deck, though, where one hand trap, unless it's Drone Lockbird, it's really not going to stop a whole lot. You're going to kind of need 2, more or less. They do use Union Carrier as well to fetch out a card that has the effect of, pretty sure it's adding something once sent to the graveyard, so they equipped it, and then it goes, they tribute it for the Vanity's Ruler, they get the effect, and keep extending and doing all their crazy things that they can. So hitting the Union Carrier with a Gamma as well could potentially be good, because not only do you remove the monster, so they need to get another monster on board to tribute, you also don't give them the free extender. Drone Lockbird, best hand trap, hands down, versus deck. All it does is searches everything. Like, there's so much searching, extending everything. Drone Lockbird, best hand trap versus the deck, hands down. So Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion is actually really good too. So Preparation of Rites and Pre-Preparation of Rites, well, they don't have to. They both have the option of adding from the graveyard. Therefore, you can Ghost Bell them, which makes them really good. The ritual spell, you can Ghost Bell it when they try to add it back to their hand, because it would be having a card leave the graveyard. Otherwise, you know, you got the monsters. If they're in the graveyard, yes, they do have to be in the graveyard, because if they activate in the hand, it is impossible for them to be summoned from the graveyard. So no, you cannot Ghost Spell them if they're activating in the hand. They do need to activate in the graveyard in order to Ghost Spell. Skullmeister, hand trap, seeing a lot of success and play right now. You can hit the Medianus, again, the ritual spell in the graveyard. You can also negate the Benton in the graveyard, or really any of them trying to summon themselves from the graveyard if you want, especially depending what they tribute from the hand. Like if they don't tribute a Benton or anything that's going to plus, maybe it's not a bad idea to hit it with a Meister. Ash Blossom, I mean, hitting the Nova because you don't want the free summon, hitting the Benton, the prep, the pre-prep, pretty standard. Nibiru, not too good versus the deck because, well, they can usually summon Vanity's Ruler by summon number 4 or 5, so that's going to be tough, or they'll have like a way to negate it, and that's just not going to go over too well for you. Infinite Impermanence can be okay if they're playing the VFD version. Otherwise, if they're playing the ruler one, they're just going to use ultimateness to negate it and plus off of sending one of their cards from the field. And even if you use it on the ultimateness, they'll just chain it. And if you try, like I said, it's not once per turn, not once per chain, so it can be very hard to deal with. Side decking, what can we at least side deck versus them? Droll and Lockbird, I mean, probably in your side decks. If you're not maining it, make sure you're siding Droll and Lockbird. Like we said, it's the best hand trap versus this deck. You can use the hand trap information we just gave you to kind of dictate your side deck if you would like a little bit at all. Otherwise, Dimensional Barrier Calling Rituals is pretty good against a ritual deck, believe it or not. Anti-Spell Fragrance against a ritual deck, again, pretty good, believe it or not. Rivalry of the Warlords, this one I really like because it's like a fairy deck mixed with the machines. So once they get a couple Drytrons on board, you can you flip a Rivalry, and now they're stuck in machines. And a lot of the time they might play some of the Drytron ritual monsters, but they are far easier to deal with than Vanity's Ruler and a Herald of the Ultimateness. So that's actually not a bad idea if your deck can play under Rivalry. Torrential Tribute, really good. I like it. You know, popping cards when they summon, Ultimateness can negate it. Obviously, that's going to be something you got to play around. But otherwise, Dark Ruler no more. Crazy good here because you shut off the Ruler and Ultimateness. Forbidden Droplet, sending 2 cards, one being a monster, is really strong as well. Otherwise, if they are playing the VFD variant, you can send, or not send, but use XYZ Encore as another option. Hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit. We tried to keep it a little shorter, sweet, to the point. But yeah, if you have any more questions, let us know in the description down below. If you have any other cards that are good for hitting them, let us know in the description down below. Let's go ahead and take on the meta together, guys. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.